Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the 3am Chats podcast. It is episode 13, and it's a new year. We've hit 2021. Can you believe it, boys?
Woo!
We've made it.
We made it.
Finally. About bloody time.
Finally.
Guess what, guys? We're in lockdown 3. Woohoo!
Whey! What were they saying about the Star Wars reference with that? It was like Lockdown 1.
Well, I was going to introduce this
virus.
podcast as Lockdown 3 Return of the Virus or Return of the King or something. But I didn't want to do that.
No, we won't talk too much about it. Oh, yeah. It's hard not to talk about it right now, but how are you both doing, like, as it's a new year? You know, are you feeling optimistic? Are you doing all right, both?
Yeah, I guess for Haz and I, really, and Yuko's at the end, we've been in tier 4 for a while, so it's not really any difference to us, the whole national lockdown.
You've been in since, like, when? Like, November? Technically?
I don't
know.
know, mate, to be honest with you. Is it November?
November was that weird lockdown
tier 3 stage, wasn't it? I think it was like the 12th of December we went in. I think it should be later.
Yeah.
I think it was like
you had like a 2-week period where we were out.
Mid-December we went into tier
It's all
4.
the same. It's all the same.
It's all blurred into one. The whole year, the whole of last year blurred into one. So we've been in lockdown. We've been in tier 4 for a while, so technically lockdown. So it's not really that different for us, I suppose. I think the only annoying thing is that we've now got like a confirmation of we're gonna be in it for a bit longer.
Yeah, and we're not going to dwell on it for too long, but I was talking to a few people about it yesterday, and I think, especially in our area, like you said, it's not that different, but I think it's more the fact that there's an announcement and you know it's happening. That whole mental state can, like, it can have a bad effect, but we're not going to dwell on that today, are we, boys? So what about you, Cody?
Positively.
Exactly. What about you, Cody? What have you been up to since the last episode, really?
Since last episode. Well, I mean, I had a very nice Christmas. I'm sure you both did. It was a weird Christmas because it was like I was only able to have my uncle round, who he lives on his own in his own flat, and he's 60 now. But he's very fit, and he wanted to just come and say hello and eat something. But it was very different because normally, I remember Joe saying in the last one, like, he'd have his big family coming round and, like, so it was nice. It just felt a bit different. I don't know about you guys, but I've not really done much else really. I've just had that, and then the last few days is just kind of been walking about and trying to get some fresh air. That's about it really. But what about you?
All we can do. Well, yeah, like Joe said, we've been in tier 4/lockdown already, so the announcement wasn't too difficult to process, I guess. But what was my brother actually got COVID. He tested positive just after Christmas, and he also hasn't really been anywhere. Like, his work finished before Christmas, so he wasn't really leaving the house other than to go shopping, and we think that's where he got it from. So we've been in isolation,
strange, isn't it?
Yeah, so he got a test just after Christmas. We've been in isolation ever since. And we're actually due to come out in 2 days. So just as we were about to leave,
get back in there.
It's so exciting that I can go to the shops in 2 days. I'm so excited to walk.
Yeah, I bet you're buzzing to go and get that Tesco meal deal. Well, sorry, Asda meal deal for Harry.
Asda,
yeah, you know
it.
All about Asda over here.
Wait, is the Asda meal deal good? I haven't asked you both. There's not really an Asda near where I live.
I've never had one, to be honest with you, mate.
Yeah, I don't think they've got a full-on combination, I don't think you can actually save that much money. I might be wrong.
Asda, come on.
I know.
Come on,
everyone's doing it.
We've
had a whole podcast on this.
We need to rate your meal deal soon. Come
Asda,
on.
give us a listen, all right? And bloody take some of our advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on, get that brownie that Harry loves.
Oh, so good.
God,
so good.
But no, mine was the same, Coast, to be honest with you. My Christmas was very, very quiet. Obviously, like I said, I normally have like I don't know, to be honest with you, about 30 people in one place
Thousands.
on Christmas Day. Right, it feels like it on Christmas Day. So normally there's a Christmas Day, there's a New Year's Eve party. No, not New Year's Eve. There's a Christmas Eve party. There's a Christmas Day, and then the meal with loads of people, and then there's a Christmas Day party, and then there's a Boxing Day party, and then there's a 27th party. So obviously it was very, very different this year. But I won't lie, like, I don't want this every year. I didn't mind it being just me, my mum and the dad and the dog. I didn't really mind it. It was quiet. It was chilled. It was quite funny, to be honest with you. Like, we didn't have turkey this year. We had goose, which my mum struggled to cook. It was hilarious. We all had like a massive laugh at the table because everything else was cooked apart from the goose. And the goose wasn't cooked, so we were just there with all our food and then no meat. It was great.
Oh yeah, you said you said in the last episode. You said you were going to take a photo. Did you actually take one?
No, I didn't take a photo because there was such a palaver over it. It was so funny.
Just waiting to eat.
Oh, if she listens to this, she's gonna kill me. But you know what? I really enjoyed it. I've never had goose before. It was alright. I can't say like I'm really eager to have it again. I'm not a massive turkey fan, so I can't say I'm going to have that either. So it was nice to try something. It was also nice to have a Christmas that was really chilled out. We did a Zoom thing with the rest of my family, which was the most stressful thing in the world.
Yeah,
I imagine
we did too.
A lot of other people can relate to that. But it was quite chilled out. What I'm trying to say, it was really quiet, but it was it wasn't. I don't want to say it was quiet in the sense of like it was quiet, like as in like, oh no, it was really quiet. It in like a bad way. It was like peaceful.
Chat in the Deep. That kind of nicely segues into what our Chat in the Deep is about. You know, obviously we've all had the Christmas that's been different, and that's what 2020 was. It was a very, very different year. Now, my kind of question, because I know we can be very self-indulgent if we're going to be talking about everything that's happened and every little trick we've learnt in 2020. But my question for us, but firstly to you boys, is what is the one thing that you learnt from 2020? I'll ask that first, because I'll ask a second one for what you're going to say for 2021. But speaking just on 2020, what was the one thing, or one biggest thing, that you learnt from 2020?
This is hard, because you don't want to say something that should already be in society. Like, when this question was posed, I thought, I learnt to appreciate other people more. As in, like, you saw the world pull together, and that's such an amazing thing. But you should already, like, everyone should already know to pull together. But obviously, it was just like it was made so that you did it. But so yeah, I didn't want to come across. I didn't want to say that and come across like I was just a dick before 2020, and 2020 taught me not to be such a dick.
Horrible person.
So I asked around a few people and just said, "Oh, what did you learn?" Because I wanted to, like, you know, not to steal their ideas, but to go, "Oh yeah, you're right." And I spoke to my mum quite a lot, and she said, "Well, just talk about it. Like, talk to me about it. What do you think? You know, you learn." And I was like, "Well, you know, I got better at archery and photography." I didn't want to go on about that either. So we came up with it sort of together. We sort of said, like, appreciating the moment. And I think that's a weird thing to come out of a year that you didn't want to appreciate what was going on. But I mean it in context of, you can't change what was going on. We had no control over our careers, over living situations, money situations. Obviously you can do stuff to help yourself, but there was so much out of our control, and there still is. And for a lot of people out there, the future is quite unclear. But what I learned was to not worry about that. I do still worry about that, because, you know, natural born warrior. But I think yeah, that's the big thing for me, was that to try and not worry about something you don't have control over, and to appreciate what you have, even if you feel like you haven't got a lot going for you. I was away from my girlfriend. I haven't seen her, even now I haven't seen her in months, but I appreciate that we're both in good health. We're both doing okay. Like, it's really hard to, like, this sounds like a big concept thing, and I don't want it to sound really wanky. It's basically, like, what am I worrying about? Can I change the outcome? No, then I should give my fucks to something else. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I love that.
Man.
I love that. Clip that, quote it.
I will, and I will have to say that was partly from Dan, my brother, who I was trying to...
Don't big his ego up, mate.
I know, he doesn't need it.
No.
But I was trying to, like... I was trying to voice this to him, and I was like, look, how do I say this without sounding either like a dick or like I have no answer to this question? And he said, say that. Just say, can you control something? No, don't care about it. Or don't give time and worry to it. Appreciate the moment. Live in the now. That's why they call it the present, because it's a gift. Thank you and good night.
Yes,
Boom!
mate.
I just quoted Kung Fu Panda as well. Oh, this is the best.
Drop the mic.
What about you, Joe? What do you reckon? What's the biggest thing you learnt from 2020?
I guess there's a couple. I have two really big ones.
It's hard to say one.
It's hard
It's
to
hard to
pick
say
one. I am gonna say my main one. I think, but like the other one that I do want. I feel like it's really important that I should say. It's I really appreciated like how powerful friendship is and how powerful it is talking to other people. I know that, and that sounds so stupid, but it doesn't sound stupid.
No.
It is. I always underestimated how amazing the power of just having a conversation with other people, and how something so small like that could have such an impact and make you. Because we've all would have had those days last year where we felt like, do you know what is the point of getting up this morning? And not in the sense of like, I know some people may have had the really deep, dark thoughts of what's the point getting up and thinking suicidal thoughts, but which is why we did Movember. But I mean, what I'm talking about is more just having the motivation to just get up and do something. And for so long it was, and we all would have had those days in 2020, and I just having a conversation with people. Like, I had you boys. Luckily I've got another really good friend, Gemma. Shout out to Gem, who was a massive rock for me during lockdown. My mum, my dog, even my dad to a certain extent, and me saying that is something. Anyone that knows my dad knows that he's not necessarily the most emotional person in the world, to put it lightly. But
it's someone there for you, isn't it? Another
exactly.
person.
Even he at points was really there for me, and like some point it was a case of some days he'd be like, when I may have been feeling shit, and it's just him going, do you fancy going down a chippy and getting a fish and chips, and just something so simple as that, and us driving to go get fish and chips, and like it's
the little things, isn't it?
It's the little things, and like Kaz goes, you would appreciate like living the moment, and I really appreciate the people around me, and it taught me the people who are around me that I have to keep close, because I've always and like growing up these days, I've always been one of those people maybe was a bit of a, I want everyone to like me, or why doesn't that person like me, or I want to be liked by loads of different people. And now, to be honest with you, I could not give a flying fuck who likes me or not. All I care about are the people I care about. If I care about them, they're the only opinions I really care about. If I don't respect you, and if I don't really know who you are, why do I give a flying fuck if you think I'm a knob?
There's no point of trying to get people's approval, you know. It's just,
I know I'm a
pointless.
bit of, I know I'm an arse. I know I'm a narcissistic arsehole, but I don't give a shit. Like,
we tell him enough.
I have friends and family to tell me that. I don't need strangers to tell me that. Fuck you.
I think that's so good. Like, I think that's such a good one. Yeah, valuing relationships and valuing community, even if it's a small or large community. I think that's such a good one.
So me and the boys got together on Boxing Day, and certainly me and Cody did. We got very wavy, and we had and we got deep.
Sorry,
it got deep.
It started at what time? 8 o'clock.
8:30, I think it was.
Yeah.
And what time did we all go to bed, boys?
I don't remember, to be honest.
It was.
We remember finishing 6 hours.
Yeah, it was a 6-hour thing, and I didn't realise that my head was wavy because I've been sat down with you guys the whole time on Zoom. And then when we finally let it go, stood up, and I was like, wow.
I knew you were wavy because the stuff you were coming out with, I was like, oh, Cody's definitely, and it is a bit wavy.
I think it's the thing about my eyes as well. You're like, oh, there it goes.
Yeah.
There it is.
But
Cody
I said
does
that-
that, to be honest, though.
Cody does that slow blink.
again, that's another example of relationships, isn't it? That's another example of something so small as you don't need a massive Boxing Day party. Just a Zoom call with your two best mates. It's like getting drunk and playing drinking games and having deep chats is all you really need to have a decent night.
Well, you epitomised what probably a lot of people thought with their friends this year when you said 2020 is the year that we've been closest emotionally as mates, but the furthest away
completely.
physically, which is such, it's that's just telling
I love
of this
how you
year,
wrote
but
down
also
what I said. I love how you wrote down.
I'm quoting that stuff down so I don't forget it.
That might be useful in the future, Joe. You could hold on to that. Copyright that sentence.
I'm gonna be the next philosopher. You wait and watch. You wait out and see. Check it out. But no, I think this year for me is really summed up. I call it and I said it to the boys. It's my year of nearlies. I had so many things I nearly accomplished, and accomplished that I set out at the start of the year. I had loads of things that I thought, do you know what? These are things I want to achieve this year. Like I'm ready to be in like a serious relationship again. I'm ready to go and do this job, or go and do an acting performing job. I want to go do a panto if I can. I want to learn a new hobby, those type of things. And I didn't really achieve any of those things, but I nearly achieved them. I got so close to achieving them that I didn't achieve them, if you know what I mean. And even though a lot of people could view that as, oh, you didn't achieve them, I still view it as I achieved something, because even though I didn't achieve them, I achieved loads of other things. And also having nearly achieved them has just made me realise that, do you know what? I don't have to really worry about having to achieve loads of things. I can just live my life. And if I achieve things, I achieve things. If I don't...
I mean, it's like anything, though. Like you find big time boxers, for example, like they often say when they get to the point that they've got their achievement, they then have gone, oh well, what's there to do now? And it's not as that you wouldn't have that, but it's because you've had all that work up to getting towards this thing. You've done probably like 80-90% of the stuff that you need. The extra thing is achieving it, which is a 10% that you've, so it's all in that way. Completely. It's not, you haven't lost as much as you may think, like by not achieving.
I think I'm ready.
goals.
I think I'm now in a more. I'm now a lot stronger, and I'm now ready for all those situations. And I think all of us are. We're all ready for a lot of shit to be thrown at us. So there's a lot of stuff that can be thrown at us now, and we handle it a lot better than we did at the end of the year. Anyway, I'm going to stop going on. Cody.
Well, no, it's a good finish actually, because obviously Lockdown 3, Return of the King or whatever the fuck, is here, and it got announced, and I think we were all a bit bummed out, but it hasn't affected us the way the others have, because we know what we can do, we know how to keep busy, and we've adapted to that as well. Like, I know it sounds silly, but that's a pretty huge thing, and it's exactly what you said. Is you've got to enjoy the ride, and like. Yes, it was a year of nearlies, but look what you achieved by getting those nearlies. The fact that you even achieved 4 jobs is huge. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Regardless of whether they went ahead or not.
Yeah, I don't view before last year I would have viewed the being nearly there as not good enough, and now I view nearly there as I'll get it this year.
Yeah.
Use
it as a bouncing pad to get to where you need to be, whatever they're called. Trampolines.
Stepping stone, mate.
That's it, stepping stone. Oh, God.
Bouncy castle.
A bouncing pad. We're going to change that. I'm so going to use that. That was my bouncing pad onto the...
Oh, dear.
Go on, Cody.
Christ. They're great points, though, boys. Like, they pretty much summed up what I had in my list as well. But, I mean... I guess the only thing I can add to it was I really learned who was there. Like, and that's another cliche thing to say, but like, I think is I knew you guys were there anyway. But like we've already touched on, we've become so much closer, and I kind of knew that would probably be the case. But there's other people that I've been friends with, but I really didn't know that they this year were really going to give me things I needed, and for me to give them things that they needed. In that sense, it's a weird one because again, like we've not been able to see anyone physically. You just think, oh well, how are we ever going to get close? Like, I bet you boys have had constant times where you go, oh yeah, can't wait to get a drink one day. Like I've had so many of those like conversations this year. It's quite it's quite sad at some points, but like it's made me realise that you don't need that. Just chatting to someone, just talking is going to make your problems halve. Like if someone else is feeling the same way.
Yeah.
Obviously, this year's made me find those things that get up and do something. Whether it's going for a walk, whether it's these are things I wouldn't do in years gone by because there's always something else to do. But when there really is nothing, it's just like you guys have touched on again, being able to just get yourself out of bed and just doing something and keeping your mind like ticking and so all those things I just mentioned, they just for me have made me I think maybe more mature actually this year than I ever thought I would.
100%.
And I think another thing as well with jobs and stuff, I think I needed this year personally to have those major setbacks, because I've been quite lucky these last sort of 2 years from when we left uni. That I've had in my head, I've had like success. Like things have gone more than not. A lot of stuff's gone right for me. But I've had a few setbacks, but most stuff I've at least had something to do. And this year was a year where, with the stuff I've still had stuff where I've not been doing anything and been just left like, oh, I'm actually good enough to do what I want to do and blah, blah, blah. I'm sure you guys have had those thoughts many a time. So, yeah, and this year's just, taught me if I feel that way, talk to you boys, talk to anyone that I care about and that cares about me, and it should be all right. But, yeah, rant
a massive
over.
test for everyone. I think the two words for a lot of people will have learnt this year is mental health.
Yeah,
and
massively,
and just different. Do you know what? I literally think, looking back, I know this year, 2020 was horrific. You look at the amount of people that died; it's horrific. But I think it was fucking amazing for so many things. Like, we're not going to talk about politics, but we finally got that buffoon out of office in America. We
But that kind of made the world just feel together, didn't it?
Do you know what? When that happened, I was like, the relief that just like a cloud, like just a tiny bit of cloud that had just gone, just that tiny bit, and then you had then we saw Black Lives Matter movement happen and how amazing that was. Then you saw all things about people standing up for trans rights who weren't trans, and people who were white standing up for black rights, and people who were straight standing up for LGBTQIA plus rights. And
I think that was what I was trying to say earlier. Is everyone feels like that and knew that before 2020. Everyone had that support and felt like they were showing support. But for me, I think that's what I was trying to summarize before I went on to my point, was everyone knew that and everyone felt like they were doing enough. But I think 2020 really showed how much more you could do and how much a community could do together.
It was the year of I think people were just listening.
Yeah.
Like actively listening. Like, we see stuff on Twitter all the time or whatever, social media, but people were, because we, albeit had more time to do it, realised we know this is going on, like you just said, we know it's going on, but we're hearing these people and actually taking it in, not just hearing it and going, well, that's their problem.
Yeah,
we've taken it upon ourselves to do what can we do as an individual to make everyone feel as one. That's what another thing from this year has just been amazing.
I think. And do you know what? I think that is, and when you see all the people that came together to. Yes, so were some people who ruined it and were stupid with like the clapping for the NHS. There were people who did it like congregated in big groups, which defeated the point. But the whole premise of it, to start off with, before it became a political point, which is why people stopped doing it, where it became such a thing, and so many people just clapped the NHS. I mean, my parents have a huge drive that's covered by trees, and there's my mum with a fucking pan, like with a wooden spoon, clapping, and I'm thinking, no one's gonna see. And in my head I was thought, no one's gonna see her, but she didn't care, because the whole premise of that's what she wanted to do, and that's what she wanted to clap. There's my dad at his study window doing. I made myself sound like I live in a palace. My parents live in a palace. They really don't. It's just that made a study because he's now working from home. He's like out his window, like clapping, because he just was grateful, and that even though no one was going to see them, the premise of that was amazing. We saw all the people clapping for them. That was amazing. When I was fortunate enough to go to the protest for Black Lives Matter in London. When we marched all the way from the American embassy all the way to Westminster, that was phenomenal. That was possibly the most empowering experience of my life, the most beautiful experience of my life. Beautiful is the word I would just use to describe that day. And all of those things would not have happened if you'd have had that. And I genuinely believe that if COVID wasn't a thing, all those amazing things would not have happened. We probably would still have Trump as president. We probably wouldn't have had the Black Lives Matter movement protest. There probably would have still been people uproaring about it, but it wouldn't have got nearly as enough coverage.
No way.
Trans rights wouldn't be talked about nearly enough. All of these things and these amazing, powerful things would not have happened.
I've got a little quote here. Someone wrote on Twitter, the Soul movie said, don't lose yourself in what you think your purpose is, simply just live. Breathe life entirely. Don't get caught up in your expectations of what your life should be. Find joy in the small things. Purposes are only ways to cope with life instead of living fully. I think that's a great quote. That's someone just summed up that film. I actually haven't seen Soul, but that makes me want to watch it 10,000 times.
Yeah, mate.
I think I've seen it twice.
I did get a bit emotional.
I've seen it twice. I've seen it twice now because
I need to watch it.
Again.
But so that's such a good thing. I think this whole idea of reflecting on the positives of 2020, it isn't just us trying to hide what had gone on and what is going on still. I don't think that's, anyone that is thinking that, don't, because that isn't what we're about. We're merely reflecting on the positives because there is so much good that has come out of all of this. Like, even down to the point where animals started taking back what we took away from them. Like, you started seeing deer walking towards McDonald's. Do you know what I mean? Like that,
do you mind?
Even down to that, like, pollution was down, and the earth was allowed to breathe as well. And I think we spoke about that in a previous podcast, where because everyone stopped and was able to listen and think and act on things that they truly believed in and support each other, everyone just got to breathe, which is it's just so good.
Check it out.
So, I mean, we kind of, I thought it was a good check it out, what we in? Chat in the Deep, there you go. I forget our sections.
We don't have many.
Don't have many, do we? I mean, here's one. It's called Check It Out. Oh, I'm going to start, yeah? Check it out. Check out Death to 2020, as we're on the subject of 2020, this episode. Death to 2020, it's on Netflix. Again, that's all we suggest, really, isn't it? Netflix, sponsored. Death to 2020, it's made by the creators of Black Mirror. So you probably would think, it's going to be... Normally, it's not a very light, comedic topic, really, in Black Mirror. So it's a really nice change, because it is. They're looking back at the whole of 2020, or the sort of, in quotes, best bits.
It's like a mockumentary, isn't it?
Yeah, that's probably the best way to describe it, a mockumentary. And I was a bit sort of skeptical about watching it beforehand, because I was like, I don't know, is it just going to make me more angry, like looking at stuff? But it really wasn't. It was it was just like amazing. It's got great actors in there. Honestly, go and watch it. It's only an hour and 10 minutes. And it just,
I'll definitely watch
it's really, really short. It's so good. It's and it'll make you kind of, I don't know, it still made me feel a bit conflicted, but I did overall leave thinking, no, all you can do is laugh and hope, we're gonna be them, this year, 2021.
Yeah.
It's great. Check
I'll
it
go
out.
next.
Go on then, Joe.
So I've suggested this before. I was talking about it to the boys literally before we came on air, and like on air it makes it sound so professional.
On air. Live
Makes
and
it sound like we're on
exclusive.
the BBC.
Yeah. I'm sitting
But,
next to my dirty pants that need to go in the wash.
Oh God.
Great. No,
Dirty
picturing your
pants.
dirty pants, which is just not,
Oh,
not
dear.
the most.
Shat
I know how
himself
much
for the
you
podcast.
fart. Like, Jesus Christ. Wet farts going on dirty pants. Thanks there, Harry. So I'm going to carry on, and we're going to change the subject. So there's an artist I really like, because I never suggest music. So there's an artist that I heard the other day on Instagram, and then checked her out on Spotify. She's got an album coming out in March. She's called Dodie, Dodie.
Oh, I love Dodie.
Yeah.
She's like a. I think she's like Gabrielle Aplin meets Lily Allen.
Yeah,
I think
Lily
she's
Allen.
like-
Yeah, I had that.
She's similar to the two. of
She
them.
started out on YouTube, didn't she, Dodie?
Yeah, and then
That's
and
what.
then,
That's what I knew her from.
Yeah, I didn't know she did the YouTube stuff, so I only saw her via Instagram, and then she's got an album coming out in March. Really excited to.
She got a song with
about
Tom
it.
Walker. I like.
she?
Yeah, I love her. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'll send it to you. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She's really good. She's really good.
awesome.
That's
I really
great.
like
Check it
her.
out.
I really like her. She's cool. Go on, Harrison. What about you?
I've got two. My first one is obviously
allowed to.
Spotify. No, I'm doing two because you'll know why. The first one is Spotify. They're called Dusky Grey. It's a great little duo. They're just really cool. They got some acoustic stuff, and then they've got some like non-acoustic stuff. You really like it. And my other thing is a book. Now,
Wow.
the reason,
Sorry,
yeah,
Harry's suggesting a book right now. Jeez.
Hold up.
I thought
Hold
you
up.
couldn't read.
yeah. Well, I can't read. The issue we've got is that I haven't read this book yet. Now, the reason it's in the check it out is because I'm putting it out there so that the listener and I read it together, right?
Page by page.
Yeah. No, I'm
Chapter by
going to
chapter.
set my aim either by the next recording or the recording after. I'm going to have read this book. I bought it like 2 years ago. I've had it for ages. I've just always wanted to read it. Everyone around me that I know that reads likes it. So I'm just making it my mission to read it, especially now that we're in lockdown. It is Mark Manson's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I've wanted to read it for so long, and it literally has changed people's perspectives and helped them understand and like not worry so much. I know people that have benefited from this book, so I'm going to benefit from it. I'm going to try reading it in this lockdown.
I've
You
got it
should
in my
too.
I've got it in my bookcase. I haven't read it yet. Though.
Have you?
I've got it
Right,
in
Joe,
my bookcase.
this is our thing.
Double team.
I know you're moving to London, and I know you're gonna be busy,
I've
but
got a busy week, my friend.
that's fine. That's fine. Are you busy when
busy
you're lying
with
down in bed? You're reading
I'm
it. Cody,
I'm not gonna read it.
I'm going to buy you this book, and you're going to read it too, mate.
I'm gonna.
Personal question section! Right, so the first one is actually coming from me, boys. Not everyone believes in them.
Then, is it?
It is, because it's my personal question, and I'm asking you, you knob. Right? So the first one, and I think I can give Joe his answer, and it's to be nicer, is have you guys got any New Year's resolutions? There you go. Have you got any New Year's resolutions? Because I don't always do them. So
No, I don't either.
I don't
No.
like them.
No, because it's setting yourself a goal just because, I feel like. You should just have those anyway. And like we said earlier, live in the moment. But
So if we had one, what
what
would
would it be?
basically?
Yeah. And it can be as stupid or as intelligent as you like.
For me personally, obviously, because I'm talking about myself, is
That's the
I
best
would
sentence
say-
Cody has
It's the
ever
most
said.
irrelevant statement ever. Me
I
personally,
think
'cause
it-
I'm talking about myself. No shit,
I-
Sherlock. No shit.
I'd say because we're talking about the books. I think is to read more books. I'm
Nice.
sort of halfway through the my Simon Sinek book. Start with Why, which I mentioned a few episodes ago. It's really good. I just want to read more because it's something else to do. And I've said to you, both of you boys, like I just feel my vocabulary it could just be so much better. There's so many words that I'm stringing the sentence together. I'm going, there's a word I need to say, and I don't know what it's called, so I'm just going to use something that didn't sound great. Like, that's just me. So I just think that will help. With every page I'm reading, maybe it's just this book, but I think books in general, you're like, oh, I've not really used that word. I'm gonna like try and like it's got to a point where I write it down in my like notes, so I'm like looking. That is
the most used statement I have ever heard in my life. I remember when we were
I need it there.
Cody was like really wanted to make pancakes one day, so he Googled how to make the perfect pancakes, and then he was like, "Oh, it's cracking an egg. I'm gonna Google how to crack an egg properly." Cody Googled everything, made sure he had it to the T before he made it. I mean, the pancakes were banging, I won't lie, but
it's that egg, man, cracking it properly.
Oh dear. What about you, Joe?
I'm gonna go with make more effort, and what I mean by that is make more effort with people. I'm really bad at messaging people, like so bad. Like the only people I probably reply to are these boys, and even then I may leave it a few hours, even if I'm sitting on my arse and doing nothing. I may be like, what I'll do is I'll open the message, carry on watching the YouTube video or listening to the song I'm listening to, and then just forget.
Yeah.
But
that's
also I used to be that person, be like, do you know what? That person ain't messaged me in ages. I'm not gonna message them. And it's just like, get over yourself. Fucking message them. And if you want to talk to them, message them. If they don't want to talk to you, they won't reply. But like,
nice.
It's fine to make the move, isn't it? In that sense.
Yeah. I've even like, not trying to throw you under the bus, but I've even felt like, but that were both of you at one point. It's like, I always message them, and then you probably felt that like me, and like. Like you feel like that way, and it's just always overthinking and it's just like, stop being an idiot. Just making more effort is what I'm trying to say. So I want to make more effort with people, and because I think people think, because I had someone say to me the other day, "Oh, you're very lucky you've got Cody and Harry." I'm like, well, I don't think I think I'm lucky. But I also don't think I'm lucky because I really worked hard at those friendships. Like I put a lot of effort in, like they do. They put a lot of effort into the friendship as well. But
they don't just happen.
We all put a lot of effort in. Those friendships don't just appear out of nowhere. Like we all drop what we need. Like there's points, especially at uni, where we all dropped what we had at the sound of a hat. I think that's the saying. And we all went to support the other person for whatever they were going through. So those friendships take work. So
don't get us wrong.
In a way, isn't it?
We get along. We're not like forcing the friendship.
No, you know
Harry is.
You know what I mean? Like you get.
We're not.
You know what I mean, though. You can get along with loads of people.
Yeah,
like,
it's easy
if you
to
don't
like
make an effort, and you don't put effort into a friendship, you ain't gonna get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
So you get out what you put in.
Yeah, Cody, I'm not just in it for 3 a.m. chats, all right? We were around before then, okay? It's not a business.
Yeah, you're just getting your 33% cut of the paycheck and leaving, mate.
All that sponsorship money.
What pay cut? Am I missing out on some pay? Is that what you're trying to tell me right now?
Yeah, Harry takes it all. I'm not getting anything. I see it coming to my account and it goes straight to Harry. I wish. Jesus, imagine getting paid. Oh dear.
What about you, Harrison?
I haven't got much, but I think mine would be to cook more interesting meals. That sounds a little bit less impressive now that Joe's said what he said, but so I think a big thing, especially with lockdown, is like everyone was at home more, but I still found that I would eat well, but I would eat like a robot. I would just eat the same, like, chicken and broccoli, and like that's what I would do every day. And I've actually, boys, drop in a cheeky little bombshell. I've gone veggie. And
you are gone. Oh wow! Fully.
Yeah, for real. And I did this before when we went to Zante, and that'll be a story for another time. But but no, I'm sticking to it, and I want to try and create more interesting meals with it, and see, what I can do. And it's not to push that agenda on you guys or anyone who's listening. It's just merely I'm seeing what I can do, and I want to try and create more interesting meals out of it as well. So
Can I ask why you're going veggie?
Yeah. What's the main thing that struck with you? Is it just-
I think a big thing would be just like if you're like I strike myself as like a big animal lover and almost not like an activist, but I support, like, it's a big part for me is like, you know, animals
them having
and
good lives.
and I think for me I can't truly be like that if I'm buying cheap chicken and, you know, because you can be that and still eat meat, but for me, like, especially financially, I would just I would just buy cheap eggs and meat and stuff, and I'm like, oh, you know that they've suffered rather than if you spend the money and the time actually researching it. So I think for me, well, especially now, it's just something that felt right to do.
I think it made me laugh, to be honest. Like with there's a program I watched where I think you might have seen it a couple of times, where a family from like the present, like today, they go back into like the war and they eat what or they live as someone in World War II would have lived, like a family. And it just made me laugh about, because they had to have a Christmas dinner, and what they had back then was there was like a year where they ate like horse. So they actually had like eating it, and they're like, oh, would you have it again? Oh, I don't know, like who was it? I think the mother said, oh, I just feel bad eating a horse, like, you know, I'd prefer to eat turkey. I was like, what? What?
Yeah.
And that's like, I get what you mean by that, but it's the point of, oh, well,
How
I'm
can
not
you
going to eat
feel
a
bad for one
horse
animal
because
but
we
not the
ride
other?
them. We ride horses,
Yeah,
so
and they're pretty.
we can't eat those. But cows, fuck them. Yeah, we don't care.
Yeah.
Like that's it's such a. I understand why people do vegetarian, vegan, anything. Like it's just That's what I just remember that off the top of my head.
It's a discussion for another podcast.
100%.
Oh, yes.
Because I can see Joe's ready to pounce at me, so...
I'm not ready to pounce anything, I just have a different view. But
100%.
It will go on, so I'm not going to say it.
Oh, yeah, and don't get me wrong, that's not my only reason. There's hundreds, but I think if we did that podcast, it would definitely have to be a thing that we discussed.
It would be good to get maybe someone who's a vegan to come on
I think we should actually talk to someone about it. Yeah, on both sides. Because I also, I follow, like, people like Joe Rogan does a carnivore only diet. I know he's done that before.
Yeah, I saw he's doing that.
And so, like, it's not like I'm, like, offended or anything like that. I'm just doing it for my own personal, like, reasons.
Yeah,
like,
it's
I've
what
got
you
multiple
believe in,
reasons. Yeah. And obviously, like, I've done it before and then just slowly drifted back into eating meat and stuff. And I think, just right now it's something that I've wanted to do. But as a result, besides all the vegetarianism, I just want to be able to create good meals. Because I feel like I cook like a robot, so that's something I want to set out to do.
Fair enough.
Is like just create
to me
good
doing
meals.
That, I love that.
Doing that is I think to me, if you're vegetarian or vegan or anything, I'd see that as, you know, either me as a meat eater, maybe I'm the one that's religious, or maybe you're the one that's religious. But I don't care if you're religious as long as you're not having to, you know, try and make me something that I don't want to do. Like, you
It's
do
the
whatever
nature
you want to
argument
do.
that people say that religion causes war, and it's like, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It's people being assholes causes war.
Exactly.
Preaching
you
your
just do what you
agenda
want.
doesn't
Yeah,
always
people not accepting
benefit
other
everyone.
people's views is what causes war.
Yeah.
Not
100%.
Not the difference in views.
And imagine if I came on now and was like, oh, by the way, I'm a vegetarian and you guys are horrible for eating meat. Whereas
exactly.
I've eaten meat
that's
for like
the point.
23 years of my life. So that would be silly. But yeah, no.
No, it's great you're doing that though, mate.
No, we'll see. We'll see. It doesn't make me a better or worse person, but it'll just be an interesting thing anyway. I've got one more. Hang on, where is it? Here we go. All right. We had a question submitted, guys, and now we don't get this often, so if anyone's listening and they want to submit a question, submit it to either our email or DM us on Instagram. You know where to hit us up. But this one, it comes from Bex, and it says, if you could live in the setting from any book or film, what would it be? Now,
The world.
The world.
Like
So
the
you don't have to
world.
be the specific characters in it, and that is important because I'm going to give her answer. I'm going to give her answer out so that you guys can't say this, and it's a pretty good one. And she said Harry Potter.
Man.
How good is that?
What are you going to say?
No.
That's such a good world to live
I
in.
would have said that though. Yeah,
So
I would have said, shit.
Because I replied to her and I
can't
said,
live in
oh
the
yeah, but
magical
like,
world of Harry Potter.
like that's amazing. But what if you're the one that Voldemort wants? And she was like, okay, let's put some specifications on it. You just live in the world as someone that's involved in it. So like you're a student at Hogwarts, for example, or something like that. So
in
we
the
can't say
Wizarding
Harry.
World.
Yeah, we can't say Harry Potter now.
I
Which
really
is
want to say
huge.
Harry Potter. I really
such a
now,
good
I really
world.
want to say it. It's like the
great
best
world.
one.
Yeah, I used to watch like when they were in the dormitories. I'd be like, oh, I want to have that banter where they're just sitting there
Yeah,
eating
man.
the
Yeah,
jelly
yeah,
beans or
yeah.
whatever. If you want, I'll go first. I'm gonna say Wreck-It Ralph. So simple.
Is that what you said?
Yeah, I'll go for Wreck-It Ralph. And it can be
I'm
either
getting
one.
Really
because
angry. I'm getting really angry that I can't think of them. And every time he says one, I'm like, oh yeah, I want that one.
Wreck-It Ralph's such a good one.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to probably live in the like Wakanda world, whatever it's called.
Nice.
The
That's a
country.
good
The
choice.
Marvel, you can just say Marvel.
Yeah,
But like, I
But
think
in
you
that-
mean specifically in Wakanda.
yeah. In Wakanda, in that, it just looks very just amazing. Like there's sort of the scenery
Technology.
and like technology. Everyone's together. Like it's
Community.
Great.
That's a great
I think
choice.
it'd be.
I'm
Yeah,
struggling.
I was
such
thinking
a good
Marvel, but I was like, I don't want to live like New York Spider-Man. Like, I just,
yeah. Because that's the other thing. You won't necessarily be Spider-Man. So
No,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
a good
Well,
choice.
it won't be Spider-Man. Yeah.
yeah. I guess that's mine. Wakanda forever.
Because like you imagine, that's so good. Because like obviously you'll witness stuff, and let's say the story plays out, but you're living in such a cool environment. It's the same with Wreck-It Ralph. You might not be Ralph or the other one, but you'll be running around like, as a video game character. It's quite cool.
2,000 years later.
Do you want to live in Shrek's world? Maybe I don't know.
Shrek would be cool.
Ooh.
Ice Age? Oh, you don't want to be an
No,
animal.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna
or
go.
like
I'm,
or like Toy Story.
think-
I don't know.
I think I'm gonna go Shrek.
See, Toy Story
Shrek
was
would
my
be pretty
third place.
Cool. Shrek would be pretty cool.
Shrek would be good.
As long,
I think there's so much
living
in Shrek that you
living
don't
in
know
like
about.
that, living in the kingdom bit, like in Shrek 2, like the happily ever
Yeah,
after
yeah.
bit. Yes, that's where I'm going. Shrek 2. Thank you. Sorry, took me fucking ages.
Get your Starbucks.
This will,
Jesus,
this will have all been trimmed down, but that took maybe like 15 minutes.
it didn't take 50. Don't over exaggerate. It took about 5.
Probably like
minutes,
10. I reckon 5.
It
10
felt
minutes.
like it because I'm busting
yeah.
for a
Like
piss.
I'm so sorry.
bursting.
Busting, I said busting.
I know. I said this yesterday. I said this to him yesterday. He said bursting, and isn't it busting for a piss? I'm busting.
You can say more than one thing for it, Joe. I just said
But
it
like the
out,
saying, it surprised me. And Harry was like, "Oh, why are you surprised?" I was like, "Because I've never heard anyone say that one."
Yeah, but
before."
sometimes instead of saying busting for a piss, you could just say I'm bursting. And
I
so
say
I
bursting
I
sometimes.
combined both of them.
Cody.
So as in you don't say bursting for a piss necessarily. You say bursting, but I combined busting and bursting for a piss. Do you know what I mean?
Bursting.
Yeah.
I'm
So
dripping.
fuck you. I'm dripping.
Oh.
Oh, that's rank.
Oh.
That is
What-
dis-
what-
I'm,
oh,
I'm,
I'm wet.
I'm leaking.
wet.
Leaking for a
Remember
piss.
what we said before? I'm wet
gonna
with
wet up.
tears.
Wet-
Let's get wet up.
I'm getting.
Let's get wet up.
I'm getting wet up downstairs. Yeah.
Lovely. Well, Cody, do you want to take us out of here? Because they were the only two I had.
Yeah, mate, that's awesome. Well, boys, it's been a very good podcast today. I think it's been chill. We've been sort of listing our aspirations for the new year. Hopefully, fingers crossed, this is going to be the year where we can just move forward again. Thank you for listening. Once again, please check us out on Instagram. It's 3am Chats Podcast. Also, check out our YouTube channel with the same name and subscribe over there. And thank you for listening. Have a beautiful new year.
Big love, people. Big love.
Bye bye.